I'll give it a second for people to come in. Alright, so let's get started. There's some stuff going on, but not as much as I would like. So probably a quicker pre-market live stream. Hey, what's up, Bruno? How you doing, man? So I'll just go over my watches from last night, and then I'll get into the gappers. So ADIL was a nice runner. Now it's pulling back. Now this is going to be, it's gapping down, so it's probably going to be like the its second red day. So what I'm going to be doing on this one is just looking for pops, really into like 2.3, 2.5, and then 2.8, and then just fade it back down. And then I'll be covering probably into like 10, 11 a.m. just because this is the second red day. You're probably not going to get like a huge move, so I'm just going to cover quickly on this one. There's probably not a whole bunch of meat left on the bone. You can see there's a lot of support in the 2s and 180s, so I'll probably be covering 180s and then maybe see if it can crack 180s, but I doubt that. Andrew, how do you scale into such wide range on ADIL? Let me know if you're talking. Okay, ADIL is that's not a lot of range, man. I mean, maybe for somebody, but 230, 280, that's not a lot, dude. Like if you're if 50 cents is too wide for you, then I mean, how do you trade a stock that's has $10 of range? You can't, like, I mean, sure, it's a like 10-15%, but you just go in small, take a starter, don't go in full size, take a starter. I mean, you can trade like any way you want. Like you can go into this first level. If it keeps going higher, then just stop out and try again, stop out, try again, and just take paper cuts along the way. I just don't like doing that. I'd rather take a small starter, like this. And again, starter is a starter, man. It's not like going to be like, it's not going to be a fifth, or it's not going to be like half of my size. And so I'm going to be scared when it's all the way up at $3. Like it's going to be like 1/6 or something. Like I could care less if it goes another $2 or something, because then I have a lot more to add. So it depends on how much size you take as a starter. So a starter is a starter. I'm expecting it to go much higher into my level. I'm expecting it to go into my risk. So what I do is I'll divide my starters. Let's say your risk is you want to lose $500, and the ultimate risk, like that, this trade stops working. That means it's a better like lawn or whatever. Let's say that's at $3. So and you want to risk $500. So just make sure that when you're in at, let's say 2.3, and then you have to cut it at 3, that means you're only going to lose $500. So just kind of do the math on how many shares you can take. So that's how I like to trade, and I mean, it's been working for me. So that's just kind of how I always done it. But on stocks that have a wide range, so I don't consider 50 cents wide range. I consider $10 wide range. So on those type of stocks, like on SPI, those are the ones where I will, like I was saying, I will cut it, reshort higher, cut it, reshort higher, cut it, reshort higher. But on something like ADIL, 50 cents, that's not very much for me. So hopefully that makes sense. Let me know if you want me to explain it some other way. Next one, NNDM. This one was going to probably be a very nice squeeze to like $4 today, but they did an offering overnight, so this one's kind of dead now at this point. But I mean, if we get any kind of pop, really to like 260, 270s, I'll take. But I doubt it. They came out with an offering, so this is probably dead. Let's see. Sorry, I have like these gaps on watch just in case. ITRM, same deal. Yesterday was off for a very good trade. It was kind of scary in the morning, so I waited for the backside. But now, as you can see, on over 200 million volume, it's died. So you can assume all pops will be sold into. So I mean, and it's gapping down. So I mean, I don't know if we get anything out of this, but if we get a $10, $20 push, I'll short into that maybe. But I really doubt it's going to like retest these levels because it's down pretty low from those levels. CTech, this was the same one as basically ITRM. Failed on decent amount of volume, which was like 60, and now just shorting into pops. This one, this one's gapping down below the support of 150, so assume that this is now going to be the resistance. So any pops into 150 are likely to get sold into. Obviously leave room to add into the 175s. And CTech, same story on the daily, failed. This is a 52-week high, so that's why you didn't see this come down all the way to the 150s, because from what I've tracked for like a year, 52-week high gap and craps don't offer as much range. So that's why this held this support here pretty much all day. But now I'm going to be looking for a 215 and 230 test for shorting pops. Okay, WWR, just a short squeeze. You can see it ran a couple days, pulled back, and now it's squeezing past those levels. So any shorts now are underwater. So this one is I would be careful. Just wait for the morning. Honestly, that's my plan. I'm just gonna wait. You can see it's kind of consolidating. It has a nice uptrend right now, so this likely squeezes out to like maybe $4. I'm gonna check the daily again. I would say maybe 380s, 370s. See if it tops out there. Risk like 426 this level, and then get in. GSUM will probably gap down. I'll check that in a bit when I go over gappers. Risking 500, that's like 200 share starters, 2.3, 2.5, 500 shares in 1K. Stop at 32. Is that how you would do it? I really appreciate the information. Yeah, that's exactly how I would do it. I basically split up. Let's say my risk is. Let's say I want to be. Let's say after I. So what you do? Yeah. How do I explain this better? So. Let me get back to this after I go over, Andrew. Let me get back to your question after I get the rest of the stuff. Now, hey Alex, I was just hoping to ask you about the range. At what moment do you cut your losses, range or higher, instead of just adding, especially in pre-market where the movements are more wild? Yes. So the stocks that I'm adding instead of cutting my losses and re-entering higher are stuff that's set up from the previous day. So it's not a fresh gapper. So SLDB, I'm not gonna just be adding. But something like ADIL, which has ran 2 days ago, that failed. Something like CTIC, ITRM, those ones are not going to be wild today. I'm telling you, it's not gonna move very much. So those are pretty safe ads, I would say. But I'll talk a little bit more about the range when I answer Andrew's question in a little bit on gappers. On gappers, I want to wait for backside. So obviously SLDB holding trend, it's still front side of the move. So once this cracks, support, then I'll enter, or like the key levels. Key levels are $4, 390s. If it gets under there, obviously that's already backside, so you can wait there. As you can see, WWR keeps pushing, very nice. Let's see if we can get a 380. So while I'm going to be going over this, somebody alert me if this gets to like 370, 380s, because I'll take a starter up there. Okay, SLDB, let's get into this one. So if you look at the daily, there's not a whole lot of volume resistance. So if you're looking off of like a bounce short, you know, a gap and crap setup, that's not ideal because there's really nothing to push it down. It's also 5 mil floats because 80% of it's institutionally owned. What they do have, or the bad thing that they have is they have a lot of shares to sell at the market. So they could sell, you know, I think it was like 100 million or something. But you can see SLDB is holding trend very well. So what I would do actually, draw a trend line, and trend lines work very well. So once this cracks this trend line, it's probably gonna at least retest VWAP and maybe go even lower if it fails. So I would use this trend line actually as a guide on this one, but that's only because it's going up, pulling back, going up, pulling back, going up, pulling back. I would enter gappers without like any trend lines or anything like that into a parabolic move, but it has to be a parabolic move. So when you see this kind of action, that means it's not done yet. It's like this is healthy for a stock to do. But once you see a huge fast ramp and squeeze, that's usually the sign of backside. So you can that's when I would enter. So SLDB, I'm looking for any push, any parabolic move. So once I see a parabolic move, then I'll get into it, or a crack of this trend line. NLV, this one's obviously the pre-market chart is different, but this one also doesn't have any volume weighted resistance on the daily. But it's a terrible. Sorry, let me get rid of that. It's a terrible daily chart. You can see 44 all the way down to $8. It crashed. Then this had a gap and crap day, but obviously no volume. So likely this stuffs here at VWAP next time it I guess retests it. But if it bases at VWAP and keeps going, then I'll be out. But I'm looking for a pop into VWAP. ADES, low volume, so can't really take a huge size on it. But it looks like it's backside. I would short any pops into obviously 650 is it was the support here, so any pop into 670s I would take. GSUM, this one you were asking about, Helper. Yeah, I mean this one likely gaps down, fails, because on 20 million volume it gapped up and failed. So you can assume that on only 2 million volume pre-market, it's probably going to do the same thing. So yeah, this is a good idea. I would take it. Maybe not take it here at VWAP, but maybe if there's another little pop or something, maybe there's a morning spike you can short into. That's all I have. I don't. All the other ones I don't like. So, Andrew, let me get back to your question. I have a little bit of time, a few minutes. WWR, almost where I want it. Okay, so let's say you're risking $500. The issue I have always had with scaling is they don't hit all your lines or areas. You really don't make anything for. Yeah, correct. On the front side as you're adding, yes, it's almost most likely never gonna hit all your lines. You're exactly right. So That's why I always say take a starter and then scale in once backside confirms. I always say that. So you know, if let's just say on ADIL it retests this 230 level, right? You get a very, very minimal pop just to 230 and then it fails. Your first entry on it, yes, let's say you want to take a total of 1,000 shares. You're risking $3 and you have you know, these four lines that you want to, 4 levels of resistance that you want to trade off. So 1,000 shares divided by 4, that's okay, why can't 250, you know, like almost like let's say between 200 to 300, okay, let's just say 1,200 shares, and then divide that by 4. So you want to take 300 shares at each level, right? Yes, it's like 100% or 99% probably will not get to $3. So let's just say it only gets to 250. So you only hits 2 of your levels that you want to trade off of, that you want to short into. So 200 here, 200 at the next one. So now you're only in 400. But let's say that is actually the top and it doesn't keep going higher. So once it confirms that it's rolling over and that this level is the top, then you add in the rest of your 800 shares, and that's going to be your full size. And then if it keeps, and then you'll just cut your 1,200 shares if it breaks 250 again, and then you kind of do the same thing. So yes, you're right. You know, it's not going to reach all your levels most likely, but you just scale in once backside confirms. So I don't know if that answered your question any better. WWR pulling back. Let's see if it holds this 340 support. Yeah, man, no problem. You're welcome. So I'll explain the reason I like trading that way. So your support and resistance line is basically all I trade off. The only other indicator I have is VWAP, just because everybody uses it, and that's a good average. And you'll understand like if people who's underwater, shorts or longs. But you know, some people don't trade like that. They, you know, they kind of just see what the price does and they'll go in and out. They're kind of like scalping entries. But at least from what, you know, my experience and from what I've tracked and like all the data that I have, it's one, your levels are going to be super important, and that's where your entries and exits should be. So it's this way of trading just comes from my statistics and tracking. So that's why I do it. Okay, if anybody has any more questions, I'll give it like 30 seconds. If not, then I'm gonna sign off, and those are my plans for the rest of the morning. All right, guys. What's up with SPI? I have no idea. I mean, they just did an offering, 16 mil offering. DG. I hope you weren't long that. You should never be long a stock like this. But yeah, they just did an offering, selling off shares effect. Yeah, that they're diluting, they're adding more shares into the market, so yours are worth much less now. And when insiders are selling, that's obviously a bad sign. So you have to be out. Yes, offerings are the biggest thing that'll kill a stock. So yeah. Okay, guys. See you guys later. Have a good morning.